Captain Maya Rivera stood on the bridge of the Earth patrol ship Defiant, gazing out at the stars of the Orion border. Today marked the 1,000th anniversary of the Great Peace, a millennium of harmony among the countless species of the United Galaxy. The celebration had already begun across thousands of worlds, and even here, at the edge of human territory, the atmosphere was one of jubilation. "Status report, Lieutenant Patel?" Maya asked, adjusting her ceremonial uniform. The formal attire felt stiff after months in standard ship gear, but protocol demanded it for the centennial celebration. Raj Patel, the ship's pilot, and Maya's longtime friend, swiveled in his chair with a characteristic grin. "All systems nominal, Captain. The Xenoth delegation has confirmed their arrival in 30 minutes. The ceremonial platforms are deployed, and the Peace Stone is positioned at the center of the neutral space." Maya nodded, her eyes lingering on the magnificent stone floating in space beyond their viewport. The Peace Stone, a crystalline monument containing holographic records of humanity's journey from warring tribes to galactic citizens, had been placed alongside similar monuments from every member species of the United Galaxy. Together, they formed the Balanced Jade Court, a symbolic representation of the harmony that had reigned for 1,000 years. "And the celebration protocols?" she asked. "Synchronized with all 57 species representatives," Raj replied, his fingers dancing across the control panel. "The human delegation is prepared for the renewal of vows. Admiral Santiago sends her regards and reminds you to smile more." Maya allowed herself a small smile at that. Admiral Elena Santiago, Earth's representative to the United Council, had been Maya's mentor for years. "Tell her I'll do my best, but you know how I feel about these formal affairs." "Yes, Captain Sirius," Raj teased. "Heaven forbid you enjoy 1,000 years of not being blown to atoms." The bridge crew chuckled, and Maya felt the tension in her shoulders ease slightly. Her ship, the Defiant, was one of Earth's premier patrol vessels, designed for peacekeeping and diplomatic missions rather than warfare. After a millennium of peace, actual combat ships were rare, preserved more as museums than active vessels. The Defiant's crew, like most human crews, trained in emergency procedures as a formality, but few expected to ever use them. Communications Officer Layla Nasser's console suddenly chimed with an incoming transmission. "Captain, we're receiving a priority signal from the Xenoth Collective Council." "On screen," Maya ordered, straightening her posture. The Xenoth were among the oldest members of the United Galaxy, a collective species of telepathically linked organisms that valued order above all else. Their representatives rarely communicated outside of scheduled diplomatic channels. The main view screen flickered, but instead of the expected formal greeting, a single line of text appeared. "The United Galaxy has grown weary of your kind. Effective immediately. The Xenoth Collective declares war against humanity." The bridge fell silent. Maya stared at the screen, certain this was some kind of translation error, or perhaps an ill-conceived joke. "Layla, verify this transmission," she ordered, her voice steady despite the absurdity of the message. Layla's fingers flew across her console. "Verification confirmed, Captain. The transmission bears all authentic Xenoth Council encryption markers. It's being broadcast across all channels to every human vessel and colony. Contact Earth Command immediately, and get me any other species representatives who can explain what's happening." "That's the problem, Captain," Layla replied, her voice tense. "All other communication channels are silent. We're receiving no responses from any non-human representatives. It's as if they've all gone dark." Maya felt a chill run down her spine. 1,000 years of peace couldn't end with a single text message. It was inconceivable. "Captain," Tactical Officer Commander Zhang interrupted. "Sensors are detecting movement. The Xenoth delegation ships are altering course. They appear to be forming an attack formation." "Yellow alert," Maya ordered. "Raise shields but power weapons down. This has to be a misunderstanding." The Defiant's warning lights bathed the bridge in a soft, amber glow as the shields hummed to life around the ship. Maya took her command chair, mind racing through diplomatic protocols for conflict resolution that hadn't been needed in centuries. "New transmission incoming," Layla announced. "Text only. Same source." The screen updated. "The galaxy has grown bored with you." Maya felt her confusion turning to indignation. "That's it? 1,000 years of peaceful cooperation, and all we get is the galaxy is bored with us?" "Captain," Commander Zhang's voice had an unusual edge to it. "The Xenoth vessels are powering weapon systems. Energy signatures suggest they're activating something called Spirit Destroyer technology." "Red alert," Maya commanded. "Defensive posture only. Raj, prepare evasive maneuvers but do not engage unless I give the order." The bridge transitioned to battle stations, the red alert klaxon sounding for the first time in the Defiant's operational history. Most of the crew had only heard it during drills. "Captain," Layla called out. "Incoming transmission from Earth Command. Admiral Santiago is online." The view screen split to show Admiral Santiago's face, her expression grave but composed. "Captain Rivera, I assume you've received the Xenoth declaration?" "Yes, Admiral. We're currently at red alert with Xenoth vessels forming attack positions near our location. Permission to withdraw to Earth space?" "Negative, Captain," Santiago replied. "All celebrations are cancelled. We're initiating emergency protocol Thunderhead. You're to proceed to neutral space coordinates in Sector 7G and rendezvous with the other patrol ships in your quadrant." Maya recognized the protocol name from historical training. It was an ancient contingency plan developed during the early days of interspecies contact, before the peace had been established. It called for a defensive gathering of human ships in neutral territory to demonstrate strength without aggression. "Admiral, what's happening? Why would the Xenoth declare war after 1,000 years? Santiago's image flickered slightly. "We don't know, Captain. We're receiving similar reports from all human outposts. The entire non-human United Galaxy seems to have turned against us simultaneously. No explanations, no demands, just declarations of war." "It makes no sense," Maya said, unable to keep the frustration from her voice. "No, it doesn't," Santiago agreed. "Which is why we're proceeding with caution. Gather your fleet, demonstrate our presence, but do not fire unless fired upon. We need to understand what's happening before we escalate." "Understood, Admiral." "And Maya," Santiago added, her formal tone softening slightly. "Be careful out there. We haven't fought a real war in a millennium. None of us knows what we're doing anymore." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in momentary silence. "You heard the Admiral," Maya announced to her crew. "Set course for Sector 7G. Maximum sustainable speed. Zhang, I want a full tactical assessment of every Xenoth vessel in our sensor range. Layla, keep trying to establish communication with any non-human species willing to talk. Something isn't right here, and I intend to find out what..." As the Defiant changed course, accelerating away from the ceremonial gathering point, Maya watched the peace stone recede on the view screen, a symbol of 1,000 years of harmony now floating abandoned in space. The journey to Sector 7G took less than an hour at the Defiant's maximum sustainable speed. Throughout the journey, Maya pored over reports flooding in from human outposts across the galaxy. Every story was the same: sudden declarations of war, communication blackouts from non-human allies, and fleets of alien vessels taking aggressive postures near human territories. "We're approaching the rendezvous coordinates, Captain," Raj announced, breaking Maya's concentration. Maya looked up at the main view screen. Ahead, a gathering of Earth vessels had already formed, 12 patrol ships similar to the Defiant, along with 3 larger diplomatic cruisers repurposed for defense. It was a small force compared to the mighty armadas of historical records, but it represented a significant portion of humanity's active space fleet. Open a channel to the fleet, Maya ordered. Channel open, Captain, Layla confirmed. This is Captain Maya Rivera of the Earthship Defiant. We are reporting as ordered under Protocol Thunderhead. Who has command of this assembly? A moment passed before a response came through. Captain Rivera. This is Captain Gabriel Chen of the Resolute. I currently have tactical command of this assembly. Welcome to the party. The woman's voice carried a hint of gallows humor that Maya appreciated under the circumstances. The Resolute. Maya knew the ship by reputation. It was one of the few vessels that still maintained combat readiness as part of Earth's historical preservation fleet. I thought you were stationed in the Sol system? We were reassigned when this mess started, Captain Chen replied. The Admiral thought our combat training might come in handy, even if it is mostly theoretical these days. What's our status? Defensive formation established. We've got 18 ships total, arranged in a standard helical pattern. No offensive actions yet from any non-human forces, but we're tracking multiple battle groups moving in our direction. Maya nodded to herself. Any progress on communications? Nothing, Chen replied, frustration evident in her voice. It's like every non-human species suddenly decided we're not worth talking to anymore. Just those cryptic messages about being bored with us. Hold position, Maya ordered. We're joining your formation. As the Defiant took its place among the assembled human ships, Maya studied the tactical display. The formation was textbook, a three-dimensional helix designed to maximize defensive coverage while minimizing vulnerable points. It was a formation developed centuries ago and preserved more as historical knowledge than practical tactics. Captain, Zhang called out, tension evident in his voice. Long-range sensors are detecting a large fleet approaching. Configuration matches Xenoth battlecruisers, approximately 30 vessels. Time to intercept? 17 minutes at current speed. Maya took a deep breath. Open a fleet-wide channel. Channel open, Layla confirmed. This is Captain Rivera. All ships maintain defensive posture. I want continuous attempts to establish communication on all frequencies. We do not fire unless fired upon, but be prepared for any eventuality. This is not a drill, but neither is it necessarily combat. Something strange is happening, and I want answers before weapons. Acknowledgements came in from the assembled ships as Maya turned to her bridge crew. Opinions? She asked, inviting the kind of open dialogue she'd always encouraged. Raj spoke first. It feels like a bad joke, honestly. Why would they suddenly decide to go to war with us after 1,000 years? What changed? Could it be some kind of mass delusion? Suggested Dr. Imani Okafor, the ship's chief medical officer, who had joined them on the bridge during the crisis. A pathogen affecting non-human neural systems? Or a test, Zhang added quietly. A test of our response to aggression after so long at peace. Maya considered each possibility. None seemed satisfactory, but all were preferable to the alternative, that their millennium of peaceful coexistence had been a lie. Xenoth fleet now 12 minutes from intercept, Zhang updated. They're maintaining attack formation. Captain, Layla suddenly interrupted. I'm detecting an unusual energy signature from the lead Xenoth vessels. It doesn't match any weapon system in our database. Analysis. It appears to be some kind of psychic emitter. The energy pattern resembles telepathic amplification technology, but much more focused. Maya frowned. The Xenoth were known for their collective consciousness and telepathic abilities, but they had never weaponized these traits, at least not that humans were aware of. Fleet-wide alert, Maya commanded. Unknown weapon signature detected. Possible psionic attack incoming. All crews prepare mental shielding protocols. Mental shielding protocols were another relic of earlier times. Meditation techniques and focus exercises designed to resist telepathic influence. Few humans had practiced them seriously in centuries. Xenoth fleet now in visual range, Zhang announced. On screen, Maya ordered. The view screen shifted to show the approaching Xenoth armada, sleek, crystalline vessels that seemed to flow through space, rather than merely travel through it. Their design had always been beautiful to Maya, organic and mathematical at once. Now, they looked ominous, their crystalline structures glowing with pulsing energy. "They're charging weapons," Zhang reported. "Energy buildup consistent with the unknown signature." "All ships, hold position," Maya ordered over the fleet channel. "Shields at maximum." The lead Xenoth vessel suddenly emitted a brilliant pulse of energy that rippled outward, washing over the human fleet like a wave of light. Maya braced herself, expecting pain or mental intrusion. Instead, she felt nothing. "Report!" she demanded. Around the bridge, her crew looked equally confused. "No damage detected," Zhang confirmed. "Shields holding at 100%. "The same for all ships in the fleet," Layla added. "Whatever that was, it didn't penetrate our defenses." Maya frowned. "What kind of weapon doesn't—" A sound interrupted her, a snort, quickly stifled. She turned to see Raj, his hand over his mouth, shoulders shaking slightly. "Lieutenant Patel?" she questioned. Raj lowered his hand, revealing a grin he couldn't suppress. "I'm sorry, Captain. It's just—" He snorted again, this time giving in to a chuckle. "They declared war on us because they're bored, and their first attack is— what? A light show?" Maya stared at him, about to reprimand him for inappropriate behavior during a crisis, when she noticed Dr. Okafor's lips twitching as well. "I have to agree with Raj," the doctor said, a giggle escaping her composed demeanor. "After 1,000 years of peace, this is the best they could come up with. A strongly worded message and a light beam that does nothing?" A smile tugged at Maya's own lips despite the gravity of the situation. There was something absurd about it all. "Captain," Layla called, her voice wavering with suppressed laughter. "The Xenoth are firing again." Another wave of energy washed over the ship, and this time Maya felt a faint tickle at the edges of her consciousness, a feeling of despair trying to take root, but so weak it was barely perceptible. Raj burst into full laughter. "Is that supposed to be their spirit destroyer? It feels like a sad puppy trying to look fierce." The laughter spread across the bridge, and Maya found herself joining in. The absurdity of the situation, 1,000 years of peace ended with an ineffective psychic attack, struck her as hilarious. "Captain," Layla managed between giggles, "we're receiving reports from other ships. Everyone's experiencing the same thing. The Xenoth weapon appears to be attempting to induce despair or fear, but it's pathetic," Zhang finished, a rare smile cracking his usually stoic expression. Maya made a decision. "Open a channel to the Xenoth fleet." "Channel open," Layla confirmed, still fighting laughter. Maya straightened in her chair, composing herself as best she could. "This is Captain Maya Rivera of the Earthship Defiant. We acknowledge your declaration of war, but we're a bit confused about your strategy. If your intention was to frighten us, you might want to reconsider your approach." No response came, but the Xenoth vessels had stopped advancing. "Additionally," Maya continued, inspiration striking, "I'd like to share our reaction to your spirit destroyer technology." She nodded to Layla, who understood immediately. The communications officer activated the ship's external speakers and routed the sound of the bridge crew's laughter outward, broadcasting it to the Xenoth fleet. "Captain," Zhang reported, "the Xenoth vessels appear to be confused. Their formation is breaking down." Maya smiled. "Fleet-wide channel." When the channel opened, she addressed all the human ships. "This is Captain Rivera. It appears the Xenoth expected us to cower in fear at their psychic attack. Let's show them what humanity does in the face of absurdity. All ships, broadcast laughter on all frequencies." Within moments, the combined sound of hundreds of human crew members laughing echoed through space, transmitted directly to the Xenoth fleet. "They're retreating," Zhang announced, disbelief in his voice. The Xenoth vessels are falling back. Maya leaned forward in her chair. Not so fast. Raj, pursuit course. Let's give them something to really be confused about. All ships, initiate Human Chaos Protocol. The Human Chaos Protocol was another relic, developed during humanity's early days in space, when they realized that their unpredictable nature often confused more orderly species. It called for deliberate randomness in ship movements and communications, a strategy designed to bewilder rather than harm. As the human fleet surged forward, ships broke formation in seemingly haphazard patterns, their movements unpredictable, yet somehow coordinated. The Defiant took the lead, performing maneuvers that would make a flight instructor cringe. Barrel rolls, sudden drops, and spiraling approaches that made no tactical sense yet were executed with precision. On the main view screen, Maya could see the Xenoth vessels attempting to maintain their orderly retreat, but their formation was breaking down further as they tried to anticipate the humans' next moves. "They're completely disoriented," Zhang reported, a note of wonder in his voice. "Their ships are having to take evasive action against each other. It's chaos." "It's humanity," Maya replied with a smile. "We spent 1,000 years being polite, following the rules of galactic society. Maybe they forgot who we really are." A new transmission appeared on the screen. A visual this time. A Xenoth commander, their crystalline form shimmering with what Maya recognized as agitation. "What is the meaning of this?" the Xenoth demanded, their telepathically translated voice tinged with confusion. "Your species should be paralyzed with despair. Our spirit destroyer technology has been calibrated to your neural patterns for centuries." Maya couldn't help but laugh again. "I hate to break it to you, but humans have been living with existential despair since we first looked up at the stars. Your spirit destroyer is basically our Tuesday. Now, would you like to explain why you've decided to break 1,000 years of peace over boredom?" The Xenoth commander's crystalline structure flickered, their equivalent of a frown. The collective council determined that human unpredictability represents a long-term threat to galactic harmony. Your chaotic nature disrupts the balance. The Spirit Destroyer was designed to eliminate that unpredictability by inducing a state of uniform despair. "And how's that working out for you?" Maya asked, unable to keep the smugness from her voice. Before the Xenoth could respond, another transmission cut in, this one from a different alien species. The screen split to show a Vrel ambassador, their tentacled form pulsing with rapid color changes. "This is Ambassador Krith of the Vrel Conquered," the new arrival announced. "We wish to dissociate ourselves from the Xenoth action. We were not consulted on this declaration of war." Maya raised an eyebrow. "Ambassador Krith, we've been trying to contact non-human representatives for hours. Why respond now?" The Vrel's colors shifted to embarrassed patterns. The Xenoth implemented a communications blackout across the United Galaxy networks. They convinced many species that they were conducting a peacekeeping exercise. We only realized the truth when we observed your unusual response to their attack. More transmissions began flooding in, representatives from dozens of species, all expressing confusion, apologies, or outright indignation at the Xenoth's unilateral action. "Captain," Layla reported, struggling to manage the incoming signals. "It appears the Xenoth acted alone. Most species are claiming they had no knowledge of the war declaration." Maya turned back to the Xenoth commander, whose crystalline form now pulsed with what appeared to be embarrassment. "It seems your collective council overestimated its influence. This matter will be addressed internally," the Xenoth replied stiffly. "We request a temporary cessation of hostilities to allow for diplomatic discussions." Maya couldn't help but smile. "You mean you want us to stop laughing at you?" The crystalline alien's form flickered rapidly, the Xenoth equivalent of a flustered human. "We request a return to formal diplomatic protocols." "Very well," Maya agreed. "On one condition, The United Galaxy establishes a new council, a Humor Reconciliation Committee, with human representatives as primary members. It seems the galaxy could use a reminder about the value of chaos and laughter in maintaining true peace. The Xenoth commander's form dimmed slightly, a sign of resignation. The collective will consider your proposal. As the transmission ended, cheers erupted across the Defiance Bridge. Similar celebrations could be heard over the open channels to the other human ships. "Stand down from red alert," Maya ordered, feeling the tension of the past hours finally releasing. "Return to defensive posture but maintain position." As the alert lights switched from red back to yellow, Maya turned to her crew. "Well done, everyone, especially you, Raj. Your laughter might have just saved us from an actual war." Raj grinned. "Just doing my part for human chaos, Captain." "Captain," Layla interrupted. "Incoming transmission from Admiral Santiago." The Admiral's face appeared on screen. Her expression, a mixture of relief and amazement. "Captain Rivera, I've been monitoring the situation. Your unconventional response appears to have diffused the crisis. Well done." "Thank you, Admiral. It seems the Xenoth made a critical error in their assessment of humanity." "Indeed," Santiago agreed. "They forgot that after 1,000 years of peace, we haven't become more like them. We've just been politely holding back our chaos." The Admiral's expression grew more serious. "The United Council is reconvening to address this incident. I'd like you to represent Earth at the emergency session. Your first-hand experience will be valuable." Maya nodded. "Of course, Admiral. When should we depart?" "Immediately. The Balanced Jade Court has been temporarily relocated to neutral space in the Arcturus sector. The other species are eager to distance themselves from the Xenoth's actions." As the transmission ended, Maya turned to her bridge crew. "It seems we have a new mission. Raj, set course for the Arcturus sector. Maximum sustainable speed." "Aye, Captain," Raj replied, his fingers already dancing across the controls. "Though I have to say, I'll miss the look on that Xenoth commander's face when you suggested a humor committee." Maya smiled. "Don't worry, Lieutenant. I fully intend to follow through on that proposal." As the Defiant broke away from the human fleet, Maya gazed at the stars streaming past on the view screen. 1,000 years of peace had nearly ended today, not through violence or resource disputes, but because one species couldn't handle humanity's inherent unpredictability. "You know," Dr. Okafor said thoughtfully, "there's an ancient Earth saying that seems appropriate. Laughter is the best medicine." "In this case," Maya replied, "it might also be our best weapon." The journey to the Arcturus sector took several hours, during which Maya received continual updates from Earth Command and the scattered human outposts across the galaxy. The crisis appeared to be contained. The Xenoth had withdrawn their forces to their own territory, and communication networks were being restored. When the Defiant arrived at the new location of the Balanced Jade Court, Maya was struck by the somber atmosphere that pervaded the gathering. The great crystalline structure that housed the United Galaxy's governing body floated in space, surrounded by ships from dozens of species, all keeping a noticeable distance from the few Xenoth vessels present. "We're being hailed," Layla announced. "The Council requests your immediate presence at the emergency session." Maya nodded. "Raj, you have the bridge. I'll take a shuttle to the court." The shuttle journey was brief, and Maya soon found herself walking through the magnificent halls of the Balanced Jade Court. Representatives from all 57 species of the United Galaxy lined the corridors, many nodding respectfully as she passed. Some even attempted human-style smiles, an unusual gesture for many non-human species. The main chamber of the court was a vast amphitheater, its crystalline walls shifting with colors that reflected the emotional atmosphere of the gathering. Today, they pulsed with anxious blues and apologetic greens. Admiral Santiago met Maya at the entrance. "Captain, thank you for coming so quickly. The Council is eager to hear your account of events. Admiral, Maya greeted her with a nod. Has there been any explanation from the Xenoth? Nothing satisfactory, Santiago replied, her expression grim. Their representatives claim it was a logical extension of existing concerns about human unpredictability. Apparently, they've been planning this for centuries. Planning to bore us to death? Maya couldn't help the sarcastic remark. Santiago smiled slightly. Something like that. They genuinely believed their psychic weapon would work. They've been carefully calibrating it based on human entertainment and literature for centuries, focusing on our existential fears, our tendency toward melancholy and despair. They clearly haven't been to a human party in a while, Maya observed. That's just it. They haven't. The Xenoth have been gradually isolating themselves from direct contact with humans for the past 300 years. Their understanding of our psychology is based entirely on our art, literature, and philosophical treatises, all the ways we express our deepest fears and anxieties. Maya laughed. They thought that's who we really are. They mistook our artistic exploration of the human condition for our day-to-day experience? Precisely, Santiago confirmed. They built their entire strategy around attacking what they perceived as our psychological weakness, our awareness of our own mortality, our existential dread, our capacity for depression. And they were surprised when we laughed in their faces. Exactly. Now, shall we go in? The council is waiting. As they entered the main chamber, a hush fell over the assembled representatives. The High Arbiter, a Meloran, whose translucent body shimmered with inner light, gestured for Maya to approach the central podium. Captain Maya Rivera of Earth. The High Arbiter's voice resonated through the chamber. We have called this emergency session to address the unprecedented actions taken by the Xenoth Collective against humanity. As a first-hand witness to these events, we invite you to share your experience with the Council. Maya stepped forward, feeling the eyes of hundreds of alien representatives upon her. The Xenoth delegation sat isolated on one side of the chamber, their crystalline forms dim with what might have been shame. High Arbiter, honored representatives, Maya began. Today, the 1,000-year peace that has defined our united civilization was threatened not by resource scarcity, territorial disputes, or ideological differences, but by a fundamental misunderstanding of human nature. She recounted the events, the abrupt declaration of war, the ineffective psychic attack, and humanity's unconventional response. As she described the laughter that had spread across the human fleet, murmurs rippled through the assembly. The Xenoth believed they could subdue humanity by amplifying our capacity for despair. Maya continued. What they failed to understand is that our awareness of life's inherent absurdity, the very quality they sought to exploit, is also the source of our greatest strength, our ability to laugh in the face of the void. The chamber remained silent as Maya's words hung in the air. Then, from the back of the assembly, a sound emerged, a rhythmic clicking that Maya recognized as Vrel laughter. It spread gradually, different species joining in with their own versions of amusement, warbling trills from the avian Kirsha, resonant hums from the crystalline Tholians, and even the telepathic mirth of the normally stoic Melorans. The Xenoth representatives remained still, their forms pulsing with confused patterns. When the sounds subsided, the High Arbiter spoke again. The Council acknowledges the severity of the Xenoth's unilateral action. Such a breach of our founding principles cannot go unaddressed. However, we must also acknowledge that this incident has revealed a growing disconnection within our united community. Maya nodded in agreement. High Arbiter, if I may suggest a path forward? Please proceed, Captain Rivera. For 1,000 years, we have maintained peace through formal diplomacy and structured interaction. While effective, this approach has allowed misunderstandings to develop beneath the surface. I propose the establishment of a new initiative, not just the Humor Reconciliation Committee I suggested earlier, but a broader cultural understanding program that emphasizes direct, informal interaction between our species. Maya gestured toward the Xenoth delegation. The Xenoth believed they understood humanity because they studied our art and literature, but they never joined us for a meal, never shared in our celebrations, never experienced our laughter firsthand. True understanding cannot come from observation alone. It must be lived. The High Arbiter's form brightened, a sign of approval. An insightful proposal, Captain. Does the Council support this initiative? A wave of affirmative signals spread through the chamber, lights flashing, appendages raised, telepathic agreement resonating. Only the Xenoth delegation remained hesitant. Finally, one Xenoth representative rose, a smaller form that Maya recognized as Major Alira Voss, a military attaché she had encountered at previous diplomatic functions. The collective acknowledges its error, Major Voss stated, their telepathic voice subdued. Our interpretation of human psychology was fundamentally flawed. We believed your capacity for existential despair was a weakness to be exploited, when in fact, your ability to find humor in the face of the absurd is a strength we failed to comprehend. The Xenoth's crystalline form shifted, adopting a pattern Maya had never seen before. We request the opportunity to be the first participants in this cultural understanding program. We have much to learn about laughter. Maya couldn't help but smile. Request granted, Major Voss. I believe we have much to teach each other. The High Arbiter's form pulsed with approval. Then it is decided. The United Galaxy will establish the Cultural Understanding Program, with Captain Maya Rivera of Earth as its first director. The Xenoth will participate as an act of reconciliation. This council stands adjourned. As the assembly dispersed, Admiral Santiago approached Maya with a rare smile. Congratulations, Director Rivera. It seems you've found your calling. Maya raised an eyebrow. Director? I'm a starship captain, not a cultural ambassador. After today, you're both, Santiago replied. Your Defiant will be reassigned as the flagship of the new program. Your first mission, teach the Xenoth how to laugh. Maya glanced across the chamber, where Major Voss was approaching cautiously. That might be the most challenging mission yet. Captain Rivera. The Xenoth greeted her, crystalline form, shimmering with uncertain patterns. I have been assigned as the Xenoth liaison to your new program. I must confess, I find the prospect disorienting. That's a good start, Major Voss, Maya replied with a smile. Disorientation is often the first step toward laughter. The Xenoth's form rippled, confusion, curiosity, and perhaps a hint of excitement mingling in its crystalline structure. The collective has authorized me to experience human humor firsthand. I am to immerse myself in your chaotic emotional patterns. Well, Maya said, extending her hand in the human gesture of greeting. Welcome to chaos, Major Voss. I think you'll find it's not as frightening as you've been led to believe. After a moment's hesitation, the Xenoth extended a crystalline appendage, touching Maya's hand gently. A faint, tingling sensation passed between them, the Xenoth's natural telepathic aura making brief contact with Maya's consciousness. In that moment, Maya sensed something unexpected, not the rigid order she had always associated with the Xenoth, but a complex swirl of emotions, not so different from her own. Curiosity, apprehension, and beneath it all, a longing for connection that transcended species. You know, Maya said as they broke contact, I think there might be hope for interspecies understanding after all. Perhaps, Major Voss agreed, their telepathic voice carrying a new warmth. Though I must warn you, Captain, teaching a collective consciousness to appreciate individual humor may take more than a few lessons. 1,000 years of peace wasn't built in a day, Maya replied. But then again, it was nearly destroyed in one. I think we can afford to take our time getting this right. As they walked together toward the exit, Admiral Santiago fell into step beside them. The United Galaxy stands at a crossroads, she observed. For a millennium, we've maintained peace through structure and formality. Now we must learn to sustain it through understanding and, perhaps, a little chaos. A balance, Major Voss suggested, their crystalline form brightening. Order and chaos, seriousness and humor, unity and individuality. Maya smiled. That sounds like the beginning of a joke. An admiral, a starship captain, and a telepathic crystal walk into a bar. Major Voss's form flickered with confusion. I don't understand. Why would three distinctly different entities enter a beverage dispensary together? Maya exchanged a glance with Admiral Santiago, and both humans burst into laughter. That, Maya said, gesturing to the bewildered Xenoth, is exactly why we need this program. As they boarded the shuttle to return to the Defiant, Maya gazed out at the stars. 1,000 years of peace had nearly ended today, but perhaps what would replace it would be something even stronger. Not just peaceful coexistence, but genuine understanding between profoundly different forms of life. And it had all started with laughter, humanity's most powerful and unexpected weapon. Back aboard the Defiant, Maya called her senior staff to the conference room to brief them on their new assignment. So let me get this straight, Raj said, his expression hovering between amusement and disbelief. We're no longer a patrol ship. We're now, what? A floating comedy club for confused aliens? I prefer to think of it as a cultural exchange program, Maya replied, fighting to keep her expression serious. With an emphasis on human chaos as a positive force, Dr. Okafor chuckled. The Xenoth are in for quite an education. Their collective consciousness evolved for unity of purpose and clarity of thought. Our brand of individual chaos might give them the equivalent of a psychic migraine. That's why we'll start small, Maya explained. Major Voss has agreed to serve as our first Xenoth participant. They'll be coming aboard tomorrow to begin what they're calling immersion therapy in human unpredictability. And our mission? Commander Zhang asked, his tactical mind clearly trying to find structure in this unusual assignment. Initially, we'll establish a formal curriculum, introducing concepts of humor, spontaneity, and creative chaos in controlled environments, Maya explained. But the real goal is more organic. We need to help the Xenoth, and eventually other species, understand that our unpredictability isn't a threat to galactic harmony. It's a strength that can enhance it. Layla raised a hand. Captain, how exactly does one teach an alien to laugh? Especially a crystalline hive mind that's spent centuries avoiding direct contact with humans? Maya smiled. That, Lieutenant Nasser, is the million-credit question, and we're going to answer it together. As the meeting concluded, Maya remained in the conference room, staring out at the stars. 1,000 years of peace had been maintained through careful diplomacy and formal protocols. Now, humanity had been tasked with introducing chaos into that system. Controlled chaos, certainly, but chaos nonetheless. It was, she had to admit, a very human solution to an interstellar problem. Her communicator chimed. Captain, Major Voss's shuttle has arrived ahead of schedule, Layla reported. They're requesting permission to come aboard immediately. Maya raised an eyebrow. Spontaneity from a Xenoth? Perhaps there was hope after all. Permission granted. Have them escorted to my ready room. When Major Voss entered, their crystalline form seemed different somehow, less rigidly structured, with patterns of light flowing more freely through their translucent body. Major Voss, Maya greeted them. You're early. That's unusually spontaneous for a Xenoth. The alien's form flickered, their equivalent of a sheepish smile. I have been authorized to begin adapting to human behavioral patterns. Punctuality adjustments seemed a logical first step toward unpredictability. Maya couldn't help but laugh. That might be the most ordered approach to chaos I've ever heard. Is that humor? Voss asked, their form brightening with interest. The deliberate recognition of cognitive dissonance between expected and actual outcomes? That's one way to describe it, Maya replied, amused by the clinical definition. Though explaining a joke is like dissecting a frog, you understand it better, but the frog dies in the process. The Xenoth's form pulsed rapidly, processing, analyzing. A metaphorical comparison between humor analysis and biological dissection, suggesting that excessive examination destroys the emotional impact of the humorous stimulus. Their crystalline structure vibrated slightly. That is funny? Maya smiled. It's a start, Major. A very technical start, but a start nonetheless. Over the next few weeks, the Defiant traveled to various neutral zones throughout the United Galaxy, hosting representatives from different species who wished to participate in the Cultural Understanding Program. The ship's recreation deck was transformed into a multicultural exchange center, where humans taught the art of unpredictability and, in turn, learned about the unique perceptions of their galactic neighbors. Major Voss proved to be an unexpectedly apt pupil. While their approach to humor remained analytical, they began to develop what Maya could only describe as a sense of timing, knowing when a comment might generate laughter among the humans, even if they didn't fully understand why. I have been studying human comedic patterns, Voss explained one evening as they joined Maya for dinner in her quarters, another break from traditional Xenoth behavior, who typically absorbed nutrients through their crystalline structure rather than participating in social meals. Any insights? Maya asked, curious about how a collective consciousness perceived individual humor. Your species relies heavily on pattern recognition and subsequent pattern disruption, Voss observed. You establish expectations through social norms, linguistic structures, and behavioral precedents, then derive pleasure from the controlled violation of these patterns. Maya took a sip of her wine. That's a very technical way of saying we like surprises. Yes, Voss agreed, their form brightening. But not all surprises. Negative surprises generate fear or anger. Positive surprises that align with deeper values while violating surface expectations generate laughter. You've been paying attention, Maya noted with approval. The Xenoth's form pulsed with what Maya had come to recognize as pride. I have attempted to formulate a humorous observation based on this principle. Would you evaluate its effectiveness? By all means, Maya encouraged, genuinely curious. Observation. Humans spend centuries developing faster-than-light travel to explore the galaxy, only to use it primarily to transport recreational intoxicants and processed sugar products between worlds. The Xenoth's form flickered expectantly. Maya burst into genuine laughter. That's actually pretty good. Major. You've identified a real pattern and pointed out the absurdity in it. Voss's crystalline structure vibrated with what might have been pleasure. The collective will be most interested in my findings. They had not anticipated that humor could be approached systematically. Don't tell your people everything, Maya warned with a smile. Sometimes the funniest things are the ones that catch you completely by surprise. As if on cue, the ship's communication system activated. Captain, Layla's voice came through. We're receiving an unusual transmission from Earth Command. Admiral Santiago is requesting to speak with you and Major Voss immediately. Maya and Voss exchanged a glance. Put her through to my quarters, Maya ordered. Admiral Santiago's face appeared on the screen, her expression serious, but with a hint of amusement in her eyes. Captain Rivera, Major Voss. I hope I'm not interrupting anything important. Not at all, Admiral, Maya replied. What can we do for you? I've just come from a meeting of the United Council, Santiago explained. The Xenoth Collective has submitted a formal proposal that I think you'll both find interesting. She paused, clearly enjoying the moment. They've requested that the Human Chaos Protocol be adopted as a standard diplomatic tool for resolving interspecies conflicts. Maya blinked in surprise. They want to institutionalize chaos? Apparently. Your laughing fleet made quite an impression, Santiago replied with a smile. The collective has concluded that unpredictable responses to aggression are more effective at preventing escalation than traditional defensive postures. Major Voss's form pulsed with complex patterns, surprise, pride, and perhaps a hint of amusement. The collective's analysis is sound. Predictable defense generates predictable offense. Unpredictable defense creates hesitation. And hesitation, Maya added, gives everyone time to step back and realize how absurd conflict often is. Santiago nodded. The Council has approved the proposal. Starting next month, all diplomatic vessels will include Human Chaos Protocol in their conflict resolution training. Captain Rivera, they've requested that the Defiant serve as the primary training vessel. Maya couldn't help but laugh. So we're going from patrol ship to comedy club to Chaos Academy? Something like that, Santiago confirmed. Major Voss, the Xenoth Collective has also extended your assignment indefinitely. It seems they value your unique perspective on human unpredictability. The Xenoth's form brightened noticeably. I am pleased by this development. My studies of human humor remain incomplete. After the transmission ended, Maya turned to Voss with a bemused expression. Well, Major, it seems your people are more adaptable than we gave them credit for. The collective values efficiency above all else, Voss explained. If chaos proves more efficient than order in maintaining peace, then chaos becomes logical. Maya raised her glass in a toast. To the logical pursuit of chaos, then Voss extended a crystalline appendage, gently tapping Maya's glass in a gesture they had learned from observing human social customs. And to laughter, the most efficient weapon in the galaxy. As they completed the toast, Maya couldn't help but reflect on how far they had come in such a short time. 1,000 years of formal peace had nearly been destroyed by a fundamental misunderstanding. Yet, that very crisis had created an opportunity for deeper connection. Not just peaceful coexistence, but genuine appreciation for their differences. You know, Maya said thoughtfully, 1,000 years ago, when the peace was first established, humans were afraid that joining the United Galaxy would mean losing our identity, that we'd have to suppress our chaos to fit in with more ordered species. And instead, Voss prompted. Maya smiled. Instead, it took 1,000 years for the galaxy to realize that our chaos was our greatest contribution all along. The Xenoth's form shimmered with what Maya had come to recognize as their version of a smile. Perhaps in another 1,000 years, the Xenoth will learn to laugh without analysis first. I wouldn't count on it, Maya replied with a grin. But that's what makes the galaxy interesting. We're all beautifully, hopelessly different. And yet, somehow, we find ways to understand each other. Through laughter, Voss added. Through laughter, Maya agreed. The universal language of absurdity. Outside the viewport, stars streamed past as the Defiant continued its journey. No longer just a ship of exploration or defense, but a vessel of understanding, bringing the gift of human chaos to a galaxy that had forgotten how to laugh. And somewhere in the vast expanse of space, the peace stone that had marked 1,000 years of formal harmony now floated alongside a new monument, a crystalline structure that, when viewed from certain angles, resembled nothing so much as a smile.